Alright, so in this video, I wanted to just talk about whether it makes sense to use your strongest slime and gear versus using Willer and like the two-piece sellsword equipment to just farm gold. And the answer is it kind of depends. In general, especially early on, I would actually just recommend using your strongest slime you can use as well as your strongest gear to try and progress as far as you can within a stage. And well, ideally, be idly completing the furthest stage you can. So if I can't complete, stage 8 all the way through, I would just want to dial back to stage 6 or 7, whichever one I can just complete without having to really interact as much and complete the entire stage, just because that's going to help me as far as gold farming efficiency. But the reason I would recommend this versus using Willer is because if you're using your strongest slime, whether it be Nepris or Yolanda, and your strongest gear, you're going to be able to complete a further stage where if you dial back to maybe using Willer and then some sellsword equipment, you might have to go 2 stages back and like only work on stage 5. And the reason you want to complete the highest stage is just because the higher stages, especially early on, they really scale quite a lot as far as the gold you'll get per second. So up until probably stage 8 or 9, you really are going to just want to use the strongest combination you have in order to farm gold. But especially once you start getting to these later stages, eventually you will reach the point where gold isn't quite as important. But even after playing the game for quite a while, I'm still constantly needing gold for something, whether it's the blacksmith, the fountain, or just upgrading the talents. And they do add new talent upgrades as far as just new talents, and then just how far your talents can be upgraded. So I mean, the attack talent has 850 levels. I mean, they have a lot of just new levels they add, and then they went and added the critical resistance talent recently, which that will cost on its own, I want to say it was between 150 and 170 million gold to max out. So really, you are going to want to be completing the furthest stage as you can, just because it's going to be better from a gold efficiency thing. But you're going to reach the point where using Willer actually will be very beneficial, because Willer's gold passives and then his level 150 ability. And that point is about stage 8 and 9. So if you're playing on stage 8 and 9 and it doesn't really make a difference, you can complete it either way using Willer or like your best slime like Nepris or Yolanda. Then in that point you can change to utilizing Willer, with the exception of once you reach stage 10, you're going to be able to, well, once you can complete stage 10. As soon as you can complete stage 10, even if it's only with your strongest slime, you're going to want to start farming that one as soon as you can, just because it's going to give you a lot of gold, as well as stage 10 and 11 are the first 2 stages that you can start farming S tier pieces of equipment. Now you are going to start, when you start farming them, you're only going to be able to farm them at common rarity. So you're going to start getting some common pieces of S tier equipment, but you can merge these up and eventually be able to use them to just farm them into mythics. I mean, I've farmed a full piece of Dragon Slayer equipment between that and the epic chests. But then, so as soon as you can complete stage 10 and then eventually 11 using your strongest slime, you're going to just want to keep using your strongest slime until you get to the point that you've upgraded your Tower of Elements and gear sufficiently that you can utilize Willer to clear them. So I'm at the point where I can actually use Willer to complete stage 10 and 11. And so when I'm farming stage 10 and 11, I'll just use Willer, because I do want to get that bonus gold. And I mean, if I can do it with Willer or Nepris, it doesn't really matter. Because, I mean, farming stage 12 is nice for gold, but being able to target which piece of S tier equipment I'm farming on stage 10 and 11 is really nice. The one thing I really haven't been able to do is utilize the sellsword set. Now, just because of how, strong Willer is, he is only an A tier slime, so he's going to be a bit weaker than your strongest slime. But really, even if you can just use Willer and then still use your best set of equipment, I'd highly recommend that. Don't force using the sellsword 2-piece set bonus as far as farming, because that Sellsword set bonus does only give a 5% gold bonus, Willer will actually give you a bit more. Willer will give you 5% bonus gold, plus the bonus gold every 100 kills, and then the bonus gold every wave. And if you're actually farming on hard mode, and because you're going to be using Willer and one other slime, you're going to be getting a bonus 10% gold instead of just bonus 5% gold. So really, Willer is a very helpful slime as far as being able to use him to farm extra gold, but especially early on, you might not want to use it as much until, I mean, you can use it until you purchase like Yolanda with gems or Nepris with real money or Chloris, depending on what you're doing there. But really, in general, especially those first 7-8 stages, I just use the strongest slime you can to idly farm, just because the amount of gold you do get on these earlier stages scales quite a bit with each stage. But that's all for this video. Thanks for watching, and let me know if you have any questions.